Yeah, I just wanted to show you what I was doing with my mill. This is the Enco, and it's similar to the Grizzly. And taking it off, taking the top part off. It wasn't a belt, but it was making a noise. And yeah, it was making a noise. It's like when you're using a fly cutter. You know how when a first fly cutter, a multi-flute fly cutter, what is shell mill like? When they first engage, they start making this knocking noise, and then when it's fully engaged, it pretty much stops. But it got to the point where it was like making that noise all the time, and even with a small cutter, like a 1/2 inch or a 5/8, it was making noise. Now that big pulley in the back, to get that ring off, I used it's a little hammer impact thing. I used to use it on my motorcycle all the time. You put the bit in there and give it a little nudge on the back, and you can take off a screw or put one on using that. But yeah, I tried using the regular screwdriver, and it wasn't grabbing. It was starting to slip, and I didn't want to strip it out. But yeah, so it was making a noise, and I thought, well, I better take it apart. I got the time to take it apart, and I'd rather fix it before it started breaking shafts and making more damage, So I took the top. Well, a guy came over yesterday, Zach, my main squeeze, and we pulled that motor off. And yeah, that motor was heavy. I was watching these videos. There's this YouTube channel, I think it's M&W Machine Repair out of Indiana, and they show Bridgeports. But most of these mills, they're cloned after the Bridgeport mill. And he says, yeah, the motor, he had to pull the motor off. They called it a J head, step pulley J head. This isn't the one with the knob that makes it go faster or slower. This is where you got to physically change the belt up or down. But anyway, they had a motor on there. They were pulling the motor off. He says, yeah, this is like 35 pounds. And that's what I told Zach yesterday. I said, yeah, it's only like 35 or 40 pounds. And he said, no, this thing's a lot heavier than 40 pounds. He said, this thing's up around 60, 65. And I went back, looked at the video, and it was one of these little short motors. And this is a really tall motor. This the motor's got the 2-speed thing where you turn the switch. You can turn it 2 ways on the forward and 2 ways on the back. And yeah, so this is the switch here. Actually, I had to replace this switch after I got the machine. This was back when Enco still had parts available. But they got a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 on the forward and reverse, and it never really worked. I mean, every time when I went and looked at the machine, the guy put it in the second speed, and it made a really bad noise, like it was grinding and this and that, and so I never used it again. I always changed the belts. I just use forward and reverse on the number 1. I never used the number 2 position because it made that awful noise. And I was talking to somebody one time, and they said it's probably because you're not running 220. I mean, you're running 220, but you're running off a converter, and it's not true 220. So I just assumed that was correct, and no big deal. I climb up, change the pulley, and do what I had to do to get the job done. But this is the motor. Yeah, this thing it's heavy. So anyway, we got the motor down, and I was able to take the top cover off, which I have laying over here. Of course, I got I took off the little lever that makes it go from high to low. So that was easy to take off. It was just there's 2 Allen bolts and there's 2 tapered pins. You loosen the bolts and the tapered pins come out, and then you can just slide it forward. But anyway, as far as this 2-speed switch in the motor, when I started taking this apart, I found one of the wires loose. This one right here. The wire that came in from the switch was loose. I mean, it was on there, but it was loose. I mean, I just touched the wire and it just started moving. So I thought that was the issue with the noise, because the motor wasn't getting full power and it was hesitating. And so I tightened that wire back up. That's a what does that say? I think it was 7mm. Yeah, it's 7mm. Yeah, everything's metric on this thing. Anyway, I tightened the wire back up. I swung the head back, put it all together, and it sounded pretty good. But then after a while, I tried different speeds, and it just went back to the same way it was before. So I swung this head back over here, and I decided to take it apart. So I took this off yesterday. I just took it apart this morning. Now these pieces here, I had one of those butterfly things on here before, and I mean, it never really worked right. But anyway, what happens here is that this cover here fits on top of there. Well, that's on top of there, and there's 4 little holes here, and that's for these springs. They fit in there. There's 4 of them, and I guess they rest against the bottom of this flange down here, this flange here, when it's assembled. And you know, the thing about this machine, I got this so long ago that I thought I replaced the brake shoes on it. And I keep thinking I did, but I can't remember that I did. Because I don't really use the brake as a brake. I use the brake to hold the spindle for when I'm putting the collet in and taking it off. Other than that, I just let the machine wind down. If it's when it's running, I just turn it off and let it wind down on its own, because that's what happens is this brake wears out. Then you got to go through a lot of trouble to replace it. So I just turn the machine off and let it wind down. I did that at work too for like the longest time, because I don't need to put the brake on. The only time I put it on is, like I said, when I'm changing collets, or if something happens and I need to stop it quickly. But other than that, I just let the machine stop on its own. That way the brake doesn't wear out, because it's like a lot of work to change those shoes out. And I don't even know if I can get them anymore, because back when, like I said, I bought these parts, it was Enco was still in business, and now they're out of business. But nevertheless, okay, well, so what this piece is on top of here, and those springs are down there, and what holds this piece from coming through that piece is this thing right here. There's this piece here fits into here, like that. Well, it's supposed to be flat, but yeah, what I was trying to explain about this little key. My phone shut off, so I'm restarting. But anyway, this little key fits in this slot. Fits in there like that. Then there's a little screw that holds it in on the bottom. Now that's recessed in there, so when you go to remove this key, I put a little pair of pliers on the top of it, and I kind of wiggled it out of there. It was a pretty tight fit, but there's a little screw you got to take off first that fits through that hole. So anyway, I think this is the problem. Now when I hold this and I spin this pulley, you can feel it like hitting and missing, like it's catching on something. So I think one of those bearings is bad in there. Maybe both of them. Yeah, you can hear a little knocking noise every once in a while. Now I think this is as far as I'm going to go with tearing this apart. I don't think I'm going to do take the other pulley out. Because I think this is the problem. But if I find that there's still something else with it, at least I know that this part will be done. And I hate to go through the whole machine, the whole top end, because I really don't have the tools to do this with, and I want to do a good job, but I don't want to tear something apart that I don't have to. And But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and just replace the bearings in here. I ordered a spanner wrench for this thing. Now it looks like somebody's been in here before. These holes look like they're rolled over a little bit. I don't know who would be in here. I wasn't. Like I said, I might have replaced the brakes, but that's got nothing to do with taking this apart. And as far as these belts, this belt that I have on here now is a Enco. I think it was a 435. Yeah, Enco 435. And then this belt, the Power Grip made by Gates. Now I tried looking this up online, really having a hard time trying to find it. I can find a lot of belts that are made for milling machines, but I can't find this specific one. But anyway, I found a belt that was a 40173 by 1 1/8. It was made by some Japanese company off Amazon. It was like $44. I mean, this belt doesn't look bad, but there's no way I'm going to put this back in. You know, I went through all the trouble of taking this apart, and I'm not going to put this belt back in, even though it does look good. I know I had this machine for a long time, and it was manufactured in 1997, I think, 98. And, you know, there's just no way I'm going to put this back in. Unless I get the new one, it doesn't fit. But it should. I mean, it's probably a standard item. But anyway, that's where I am now, waiting for the, like I said, I had to order a spanner wrench to take these off. Gonna try to press them bearings out of there and get the number off of them and get another one. Well, I think there's two in there. I think there's two bearings and a spacer between them. And try to press them out and press the new ones in and get this thing back together. But other than that, it doesn't look like it's really worn. I mean, you know, it's the pulley looks good, and this thing down here where the belt rides, it looks pretty good. The teeth on the end, they look pretty good. I mean, there's you know, I can see a couple of marks on there, but I don't see anything that's really bad. Yeah, they're not on flat on the bottom. Looks like they got a little angle on both sides. In the center it's high, and then there's an angle on both sides. But I don't really use low gear that much. Most of the stuff I do is aluminum. But yeah, it looks. I mean, it looks good. You know, I wanted to take it apart before it got bad, because sometimes some of these parts, they're really, I don't even know if you can get them anymore. But I was able to. Grizzly sold a machine like this, and I got the paperwork on it, and it's almost identical to this Enco model. Part number and everything's pretty much identical. The picture's identical, and I went to their website. You can still get some parts off of their website, Grizzly, but a lot of the stuff's discontinued. But anyway, yeah, I'll get back with you later.